I was born and raised in downtown Detroit. My dad was a Detroit mounted police officer. The war was winding down, but people were still going to Vietnam. Got lotteried as soon as I turned 19. I said, okay, I'm going to try to join the Coast Guard. One of my dad's buddies, and a person I knew in the neighborhood, and he was a retired Coast Guard officer. He made some phone calls, got me in. They do all kinds of testing of you, see what you're going to do, and I had the single best score they ever saw in the test to become a sonarman. And I said, I hate to tell you, but that test gave me a headache for 2 days. So I chose and became a radioman. I was able to pick where I wanted to go. They had what's called a dream sheet in that, choose 1, 2, 3 where you'd like to be stationed. I was number 2 in the class. The guy was number 1, and he and I both picked the Marianas Islands. And I got on the ship, which, come to find out, was renowned for being one of the best duty stations in the entire world for the Coast Guard. And it was because of what it did. I mean, where we went all over, like I say, the trust stories of the Pacific, plus we went Japan, Taiwan, the Philippines, and, we were at sea all the time, which was for a young single guy, right on. After a year and a half in the tropics, I was absolutely ready to go because, the weather never changes. And, to me, that was boring. I came from Michigan where 4 seasons, all that stuff. So I put in a dream sheet to go to several duty stations in Alaska. Nobody put in to go to duty stations in Alaska. In those days, they send the bad guys and the screw-ups. My captain got a message asking if, Malone was mentally fit for extended overseas duty because nobody ever puts in to go to Alaska. Got my first choice there in Alaska, which was the Coast Guard cutter Sorrel, which is in Prince William Sound. Contrary to the first ship, this one was also involved in rescues. Unlike the first ship where morale was like stellar, make movies about it, went to this ship where morale was like there wasn't any. Literally, people were going AWOL and stuff. They staffed the Coast Guard radio station for 4 months a year up in Barrow. The tugboats and the icebreakers come up there in the summertime, bringing cargo up to begin the building of the Alaska pipeline, which, as it turns out, was defense priority 1. Typically, the weather patterns, the ice doesn't melt, but the wind patterns change, so the wind would blow the ice away from the shore, and then you'd have a few miles to 20, 30 miles of open water between the shore and the ice pack. Well, that year it didn't do that. The wind didn't change, and it actually blew the ice into shore. The tug and barges couldn't get over to Prudhoe Bay, which is several hundred miles to the east. That became a defense issue. It's a tiny little 4-man radio station. Now we're suddenly in direct communications with these big boys in Washington, D.C. radio station. Of course, it all only lasted a few days, and then they're all wound down. And my time in the Coast Guard was very, very good. I really had a lot of fun. I met a lot of good people. I went a lot of places, going to the tropics, from there to the Arctic Ocean, and just Alaska was pretty incredible in those days. Incredible enough that when my time came, I was asked for, and they sent me to Kodiak, to big Coast Guard base there, to get discharged because I wasn't going to go anywhere. I'm staying in Alaska. I stayed there for quite a number of years after that. I was an older parent. I was 41 before I had my first child, and so one of my things was I'd always push the idea of the Coast Guard, because you can be a rescue warrior. My younger son, he took me up on that, and so when he got to be 19, he joined the Coast Guard, and he's a lifer now. He's a first-class petty officer. He's in the Special Forces, and he's doing very well and loving the Coast Guard.